Dear learners of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, welcome to this session related to your course on business economics. From the unit Theory of Demand, today we shall determine what is meant by change in demand and how is the demand curve shifting. As we have already seen that demand is nothing but willingness of a person to buy something which is also backed by the ability to pay for that particular commodity. So, and we have also seen law of demand, where we say that there are many things which are having an impact on the demand, including price of the commodity, price of the other commodities which are there, income of the customer, advertising effect, technology, taste, preferences, habits of the customers. All these things have an impact on the quantity demanded by a particular consumer. In today's session, let us talk about how demand actually changes, because demand does not remain static. You can imagine your own cases of what you have purchased for last 6 months. Probably whatever you might have bought 6 months ago is not the same taste or interest that you have even today. So what happens here is there is a change in the demand. So this change in the demand can be explained by two types. The change can actually be extension or contraction of demand, or the change can be movement of the demand along the same demand curve. In case there is a movement along the same demand curve, the quantity demanded changes because of the change in price of the commodity alone. For example, when we talked about factors which are there or demand function, we said demand is a function of, and then we said QD, quantity demanded, is equal to F of. That it is a function of price of the commodity, price of substitutes, price of complementary goods, income of the customer, government policies which are there, technology, advertising, taste, habits and preferences of the customer, social and cultural norms which are there. All these things put together have an impact on the quantity demanded. In case quantity demanded is changing with only one sole factor of change in price, then that particular change will be called as a movement along the demand curve. So we just need to remember that quantity demanded is not static, it keeps changing. So when the change is happening because of one single factor, which is the price of the commodity alone, for example, if I am buying a particular item A and the price of that particular item A was rupees 1000 in the last month, then the seller announced some discount and he sold away that particular item only for 900 rupees in this month. So now the price has reduced. So with the reduction of rupees 100, maybe I want to buy more of that particular commodity. So the price of the commodity solely is having an impact on the quantity demanded. This kind of a change in the demand, if it occurs because of the change in the price of the quantity itself, change in the price of the commodity itself, then that will be called as a movement along the demand curve. This movement along the demand curve can be of two types. You can have extension of demand or you can have contraction of demand. In extension of demand, what happens is quantity of demanded increases in response to the fall in the price. So your own commodities prices are falling. Because of that, the demand of that particular commodity rises. So this will be called as extension of demand. For example, when the Ministry of Finance announced in the budget the new GST rules, that is GST 2.0, in that particular thing, the GST rates for automobile, especially for cars, were reduced. So with the reduced GST, the overall price of the car came down. Now with that reduction in the price, many customers who could not buy car earlier or who had probably one car with them, all of them started buying one more, or those who did not have a car, they started buying a new car now. So what is happening here? The quantity demanded is changing, that is, it is increasing or expanding, or there is an extension because of the fall in the price of the commodity. This is called extension of demand. Opposite to this is contraction of demand. Contraction of demand will occur when the quantity demanded decreases in response to a rise in price. So this is like an upward movement. So upward movement in the same demand curve. So there is no new demand curve which is coming. Demand curve remains the same. Only thing is that the quantity demanded changes, increases or decreases. So in case there is a rise in price, then quantity demanded reduces. If you look graphically on your screens, you can have a look at what is extension and contraction of the demand. The graph represents x-axis on which quantity demanded is given and y-axis on which price is represented. If we are talking about how demand is changing along the same demand curve, then we are talking about extension or contraction of demand. If you look at this particular graph, there is a demand curve DD and the price is P. In case the price is going up from P to P1, then quantity demanded comes down from Q to Q1. If the price falls from P to P2, then quantity demanded rises from Q to Q1. So what are you doing here? You are only extending the demand line. The demand curve only gets extended either upward or downward. So there is a movement along the same demand curve. Such a movement along the same demand curve is called extension or contraction of the demand. This is the first part. Second part is change in the demand, which is shift in the demand curve. This is called increase or decrease in the demand curve. That means the demand curve itself changes. So earlier one was what? There is a movement up or down on the same demand curve. Now we are saying the demand curve itself changes. So from the original DD demand curve, we may have D1 demand curve or D2 demand curve. When does this happen? The increase or decrease in the demand curve happens when any other factor other than price has an impact on change in the quantity. What did we learn about extension or contraction? We said that quantity demanded changes with the change in price of the commodity. Now what are we saying in increase or decrease? We are saying that quantity demanded is changing not because of price but because of all other factors. For example, the quantity demanded may increase or decrease because of change in income of the customer, because of change in price of the related commodity, because of change in taste, habits, preferences, fashion, or maybe even you are expecting a future price. So in all these circumstances, nowhere we are talking about price of the commodity. We are talking about all other factors other than price. So in such a situation, when the demand increases or decreases because of factors other than price, then such a situation will be called as increase or decrease in demand, which is nothing but shift in the demand curve. If you represent it graphically, we see that there will be two diagrams which will be represented for this. One is for increase in demand, another is for decrease in demand. Same on the x-axis, we represent quantity demanded, and on the y-axis we have price. If you look at the first one, increase in demand, the price is remaining constant, that is P. And there are other factors like K and T, which may be technology or income of the customer. So when technology or income of a customer has an impact, quantity demanded originally was Q. Now quantity demanded has changed to Q1. Your demand curve also changes from D to D1. So demand curve moves upward because there is an increase in demand. If you look at decrease in demand, if my income level is going down, price is same, so you don't see one more line for price. Price line is only one, OP. But quantity demanded, you have OQ, one quantity, and OQ2, another quantity, because my income has reduced. For example, my income earlier was K, now my income has reduced to T, for example. Then from K to T, when there is a reduction in the income, price is remaining same, but the quantity demanded, I am changing from OQ to OQ2. So you see the demand curve shifts downward, which is changing from D to D2. This is called as your decrease in demand. So in today's session, we have learned these two important aspects related to change in demand, where we talk about how the demand curve changes either because of change in price, where the changes will be called as movement along the same demand curve, which is called extension or contraction. If the quantity demanded is changing because of factors other than price, then it will be called as increase or decrease in demand, where the demand curve itself will shift upward or downward. So this is about your what is meant by change in demand which is a part of your demand analysis. Thank you.